Shalom Aleichem, Shvua Tov, good week, good vach. This is the Parshas Vayigash, my father's bar mitzvah seder. That's why the Mayon, that if you tune in Thursday night on Kol HaLashon, you hear the Mayon, because this was his bar mitzvah seder, and today was my mother's Yar Seder Lecha Shalom, HaTzedekes, Eishes Chaver Kechaver, Moras Rochel Bas Achover Avraham. So today we had yard site, and we learned Mishnayos for her neshama, and this shir can also go for her, even though it's after Shabbos. But let me tell you something that most people don't know. Next Friday will be a fast day, a sort of b'teves. Also, how many times in your lifetime did you fast on a Friday when there was Kriyas HaTorah and Haftorah, Erev Shabbos? So tomorrow is the earliest Shkia of the year, 4:29. Actually, it's 1 minute later than the earliest, which was last week, 4:28. So the days are getting longer. Next week will be 4:29. Then a week after that, about 3 minutes later, 4:32. And then 4:34, and about a month or two later, it'll be 5 o'clock. So now we're at the very, 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 very shortest day. Shki is about, really it was 2 weeks ago, 4:28. This coming up week would be this week was 4:28, then next week 4:29, getting longer. But next week, Friday, will be a Tanis, sort of a Tavis. Comes out very seldom. The last time was 2001 that it came out on a Friday. Before that was 96. Before 96, it was many years. It doesn't come out on a Friday too much, where you have to have Kriyas HaTorah and Haftorah Friday afternoon, and fast on Friday. But it's the shortest fast day because it's sunrise to sunset. Is a very, very, very short day because we're at the winter solstice, we're the shortest day and the longest night. So, good thing to remember for next Friday. You can't go to shul in the New York area at lichtbenching, which is 4:10. You got to go 4:45 because you have to have a Torah, Haftorah, Kriyas HaTorah. All right, now let's get to the parsha of Vayigash. Last week we didn't do the parsha because it was Hanukkah. The week before that we didn't do the parsha because it was also Hanukkah. Hope you all had a wonderful Hanukkah. Let us now learn the Vayigash, a part in Vayigash. At the end of Vayigash, it tells you how many people came down with Yaakov to Mitzrayim. 70 people. Very good. When they got out of Mitzrayim after 210 years, because Yosef started off to 210, and he already took 22 years off of 210, which leaves you 188, because he was in jail for 12 years, and a king for 9, 12 and 9, it's about 22 years, and he was sold at 17, that makes him 39, 40. But he took 22 years off of 210, which is now 188 years left. At the end of the 210 years, they were 600,000 men only. Just say the men, 600,000. From 70, you know how many times that is? That's an increase of about 8.6 thousand to 1. From 70 to 600,000 men. And if you want to go from 70 to 3.5 million, because that's how many people there were, that is 50,000 to 1. So, and most of this did not happen during the 210 years, because the first few years there was only Geirus. There were Geirim in a foreign country. They didn't have to work. They were not tortured. Then, after Levi died, many years later, there was 32 years of Geirus. Geirus was first. Then comes Avdus. Then at the end of the 210, the last 86 years, the life of Miriam, they had Inui, torture. That's when they increase, because Kashayanu Osam Kain Yibu. The more they beat them, the more they increase. So in those last 86 years, they multiplied unbelievable. It says in the Torah, every woman had Shisha Bekeres Achas. One childbirth, 6 children. So if a woman gave birth in every year, she had 12 children in 2 years. Suppose the man had 2 wives, or 3 or 4. You could have 18 children in 1 year, 6, 6, 6. And next year, 6, 6, 6, 36 children in 2 years. Can you imagine that geometric progression, what would be in 86 years? So they came, started with 70, and at the end of 210 years, there was 600,000 males alone from 20 to 60, not including 61 and 71 and 81 and 91 and 120 and 19, 18, 17, only 20 to 60. You can multiply that 4 times. 0 to 20, 60 to another 40, 100, 100 to 120, 140, comes down millions of people. Can you imagine? 3.5 million people, very conservative estimate of men, women, and children after 210 years. So 3.5 million from 70 is like, what do we say, 50,000 to 1. Do the math. 50,000 to 1. So now, let me tell you something before we go further. I see I have here the Sefer Megillas Tanis, the first Sefer written after the Gemara. Megillas Tanis tells you that in Kislev this month, the month after Teves, we're in Teves, that man who founded the other religion was born. It's around December 25th, but the Jewish date was the 9th day of Teves. It says in Megillas Tanis, in Perek Rishon, Perek Achron, Perek 12, Perek Achron, it says the last thing, it says next Friday is the 10th of Teves, but something happened on the 9th and the 8th. Beches B'Teves, on the 8th day of Teves, next Wednesday, Nichteva HaTorah Yvonus, the Torah was written in Greek, the Septuagint, Targum Shibim, when Talmai HaMelech 470 to Chachamim to write the Torah Chumash by heart in 72 different buildings. They all came out with the right version, and they all, by miracles, changed 13 things that Talmai the Goy could not tolerate, so they've changed 13 things. So, when Chesav Teves, Nichteva Torah Yvonis, in Greek, you made Talmai HaMelech, V'achoshet, Bo'ala Olam Shlosh Yomim, and darkness descended to the world for 3 days, because now the Goyim had the Torah in Greek, so they could understand it and misunderstand it, because our Torah to us is not understandable just by reading the Bible. We have to have Gemara and Medrash to tell us. There's many, many things in the Torah that mean exactly opposite that they're written. It says the Yom Kippur is on the 9th day of the month, when we know it's the 10th. That's the example. It says the father and the child, calf, cannot be slaughtered in the same day. The truth is, only the mother and the child cannot be slaughtered in the same day, not the father. Many, many things, like the first word in the Torah, Bereshis, Rashi says it does not mean in the beginning. The first Rashi says in the beginning would be Berishono. Bereshis is Smicha. Somewhere in the beginning, God decided to say by he or Rashi. So without the Torah Shebaal Peh, you had learned nothing from Torah Shebiksav. Yeah, something, but very little. The Torah Shebiksav, the Chumash, is like a 3x5 index card. It's a hint to the deep, deep, deep secrets lying in every word, every letter, every spelling, every misspelling, so-called misspelling, every gematria. The Chumash is nothing but a super concentrated, concise digest of the real truth, which is in the Talmud. Therefore, you're learning the Bible only, you'll get 100% the wrong idea. You can't learn. We don't believe in the Bible. We don't believe in the Bible. We believe in the Torah, which is made up of Torah Shebiksav and Torah Shebaal Peh. My father used to say, the Torah Shebiksav, the written Torah, is like a skeleton of your body. Without that, you collapse. You stand up, but you can't walk in the street as a skeleton. The Torah Shebaal Peh is the covering, the sinews, the blood vessels, the flesh, the meat, the skin. You can't walk just without that because you have no skeleton. You can't walk with a skeleton because you need a body. That's exactly what Torah Shebiksav is. That's the skeleton. But you want to see the outside of the Torah, outside of your body, the skin, the eyes, the hair. That's the Torah Shebaal Peh. He explains to you what those words mean. The Bible is for Gentiles. We don't have a Bible. We have a Torah, which means you have both together or you have nothing. It's called Torah Shlema. HaKasav veHaKabbalah. The Kasav and the tradition. So, if a person doesn't accept both Torahs, he's not an atheist, he's a heretic. It's impossible to understand the Torah without a chazal, which starts with Moshe Rabbeinu, explaining what God meant with this word. Why did he say it like that? There's a reason. There's a reason why he said fast on the 9th when it means the 10th. And if you learn Torah, you understand. Eating the day before Yom Kippur is the only day of the year. The only one day of the year where you have to fast. You have to eat min haTorah. Eating on that day is fasting. It's torture. And the next day is torture by not eating. And the day before Yom Kippur is the torture by eating. Because you're eating l'shma, not for pleasure. That's torture. These deep, deep concepts in the Torah is only for scholars, for learning people. If you just take the Torah and Bible alone, you'll get nowhere. You'll get a Goyish version of the Torah, the Bible. We don't have without Torah Shabbat Peh, we have nothing. Moshe Rabbeinu will spend 40 days on Har Sinai, and he said, this is the Torah Hashem gave you, but this is what it means. And God told me this is what it means. And he wrote it for this other way to teach you 2 or 3 other ideas. Every word of the Torah is like that. The gematria, the misspelling, the female spelling for the male spelling for the female, all types of things. That's what's Talmud Torah. And if you know Kol Torah Kula, all you have to do is read the Chumash, and you know all the Gemaras, all the Mishnayos, and everything you understand. It's written in code language. Like when the spy is in another country, the host country writes them code languages. Like, did you say hello to my brother? It means, did you spy on the enemy or something? This is code language. If you don't know the code, you don't know anything. It's gibberish. Okay, so it says here on the Bechesed Teves, on the 8th day of Teves, Nichtavat Torah, the Torah is written, Yevon is in Greek. V'yimei Talmei HaMelech in days of Ptolemy, at the end of the second bias. V'achoshe bo le'olam shlosh yom, but darkness came to the world for 3 days. The 9th day of Teves, next Thursday, Bo lo kasu rabbeinu alma. They didn't write what happened that day. Something they don't want to say. If you look on the chidushim on the bottom, it says, I heard, says Rabbi Yosef Halevi, I heard B'Shem Gadol Echad, the name of a big Gadol, the Oz on the 9th day of Teves, Nolad Oso Ish, that man was born. The 9th day of Teves, next Thursday. So some years it comes out near December 25th. By the way, their Xmas in the Middle Ages was not to 25th of December, it's the 22nd, which is the winter solstice. But they switched it to smell like Hanukkah, Jewish holiday. So they made it 25th. So it says here that man was born on the 9th day of Teves, which is next Thursday, a week away from December 25th. Okay. Now let us look at the Parsha. Elish Mos B'nai Yisrael, Boy Mitzrayim. These are the names of B'nai Yisrael who came down in Mitzrayim. Yaakov, the son of Yaakov and his sons. Bechor Yaakov Reuven. The Bechor of Yaakov is Reuven. Now Bechor is spelled without a bob. Beis Chav Reish. You know why? He is still a Bechor, even though he did that Avera with the bed of Bilhah. Beis Chav Reish is the only word in the Hebrew, in the Torah, that the word is, every letter is double the letter in front of it. Beis is double Aleph, and Chav is double Yud, and Reish is double Kuf. That's a hint that a Bechor gets double portion of the father's estate. If you have 5 boys, you divide the estate into 6 parts. The girls get nothing, because the brothers are supposed to support their sister until they're married. So the males inherit the father, and the Bechor gets double. He gets double, even though he doesn't get double in Eretz Yisrael, because he did some Aveira by interfering with his father's private life, and he did teshuva the rest of his life, Reuven, for that. But he lost 3 things. The Bechorah in Eretz Yisrael means he still gets a double portion of Yaakov's, but in Eretz Yisrael, he doesn't get double portion. It was given to the other Bechor of Rachel, that's Yosef. Ephraim and Menashe gets double portion. 2 nephews with their uncles. That's the 12 Shvatim. And Levi doesn't get any real estate, and Reuven gets 1. And Rabbi doesn't get anything, so they, instead of Levi, they put in, instead of Yosef 1, they put in 2, Ephraim and Menashe. Because Levi's don't have real estate, they work in the base of English, a Kohen or a Levi. Anyhow, so, Bechor, spelled without a vav, means 222, Beis, Chav Reish, 2200, 222. Yaakov Reuven. V'nei Reuven, now he repeats his name twice. Reuven, that's a special bracha when you get your name repeated twice. Chanoch, father, v'chetzim l'charmi. Okay, 3 sons, but the father is 4 people. Chanoch, father, v'chetzim l'charmi, 4, and the father is 5 people. We're trying to get down to 75. We started with 5. B'nei Shimon, Yemuel, v'Yomin, v'Ohar, v'Yochim, v'Tzohar, v'Shol ben Aknanis. Shol ben Aknanis? Reuven married a guy, yeah. Cananis. No, when they wiped out the town, Shimon and Levi wiped out the town of Shechem and killed Shechem and his father and all the people in town. She says, she was captured in Shechem's house. I'm not coming out of here. It's a bezoin for me. I was abused by a guy. And I'm not coming out unless Shimon promises to marry me. So Shimon married his sister. And they had a child, Shaul ben Aknanis. She's not a guy, she's a Jew, but she acted like a Canaanite. She walked out parading around and Shechem saw her and took her. Her fault, because she says the Hanahara, the young lass, was abused, and Nahara spelled without the hay. Nar, she walked around like a boy. She should have been more careful. It's her fault. She acted like a Canaanist. So she's called Shaul. She had a child from Shechem, and Shaul ben Aknanis, but why should they mention it in the 70? Shaul ben Aknanis, why should we mention? It was the Shaul, the daughter of the woman. And before Matan Torah, the Yichus went to the father. So she should not be mentioned. Shaul ben Aknanis should not be mentioned. Because before Matan Torah, it went according to the father. After Matan Torah, it goes according to the mother. If your mother's a Jew, you're a Jew. And if your mother's a Jew and she has an affair with a guy, you're still Jewish. So, before Matan Torah, it didn't go with the wife, it went with the husband. So therefore, he doesn't say Shaul ben Aknani, Shaul ben Aknanis, but it was before Matan Torah. How does that work? One of the mysteries. Shaul ben Aknanis, V'nei Levi, Gershon, Kahasim, Merari, V'nei Yehuda, Er V'onon, V'sheilu, V'peres, V'zorah, V'yomos, Er V'onon, V'eres Canaan, Er V'onon, which was the wife of that Bas Shua that died. They never made it because they died. They did some very bad thing. And the third child, Shelah, can survive. And then he got married to his daughter-in-law Tamar, and he had 2 children, Peretz and Zorach. They survived. But Er V'onon never, not counted here. Be'eretz Canaan, v'yu b'nei Peretz, and it said Yomos Er V'onon Be'eretz Canaan. They died, so they never made it there to Mitzrayim. V'yu b'nei Peretz. Now we mentioned the great grandchildren. Chetzron v'charmi v'chamul v'nei Yisachar Tolu v'Favu v'Yovu. Okay, it goes all the way down. V'nei Zevulun Sered v'Elilon v'Yachliel Eila b'nei Leah. These are the children of Leah. Asher Yoder lo Yaakov b'Padan Aram v'Esdino, and Bito his daughter. Kol nefesh banav, all the life of his children, ubenosov and daughters, only had one, it means granddaughters or daughters-in-law. Shloshim and Sholosh, 33. Now, means there were 30 boys, 31 boys. Dinah was 32, and they said here, how can you get to 33? So they say Yochebed is mentioned, Levi's daughter, Yochebed, but she was really not born before they entered Mitzrayim. She was born a minute after they entered Mitzrayim. Bein HaChomos. So she's not really, didn't come with Yaakov into Mitzrayim. She wasn't born yet. Till the minute after they got into Mitzrayim, she was born. So is that considered really coming with 99% of her pregnancy? The child was born a minute after they got into Mitzrayim. So is she really coming with Yaakov? Was she born? She's not born, or is she yes born? Machlokas, they put her in, because there's no way to get to number 33. It was 32. It was 32. 31 boys. Dinah 32, and where do you get 33? So Rashi said they include Yocheved. It's like she was born before she got in, even though she was born a minute after she got in. Then it goes on further and further and further, but here it has to tell you something interesting. B'nei Leah, the sons of Leah. So the sons are connected to the mother. But it says, Dinah Bito, Dinah, his daughter. Why is the women, Dinah means Yaakov's daughter, but the sons are the mother's children? Why not both of them? B'nei Leah, the boys of Leah, not Yaakov. and Dina Bito, his daughter. Why you connect the daughter with the father and the son with the mother? Rashi tells you a tremendous thing here. We learn from this a rule. Isha mizras techila, if a woman ovulates first, the man takes his time, ovulates first, the man has self-control, Yoled Zocher, a male will be born. That's why when the B'nai has to do with Leah, a person who has self-control. Isha mazriya techila, man comes to the climax first, he has no control, he doesn't let his wife reach the peak. Yoled is being the Nekeba. A Nekeba is born, a human being who has more physical drive, more gashmias. They primp to make themselves look beautiful and they have to wear jewelry. That's the Nekeba, which is normal. So he's telling you a lesson for life. Be very careful how your relationship with your wife. We're not going to go into the subject, it's a sensitive subject. Do the research on your own. Now we go further here. Gemara talks about it. It's a big bracha if your wife ovulates first, then you have boys. Let's go here further. B'nai Rachel, Eshes Yaakov, the only wife of Yaakov. Really? That's his main wife. That's why he came to Lavan. That's why he worked. He was tricked into the other three. B'nai Rachel, Eshes Yaakov, Yosef Binyamin. The Yivolid Yosef Eretz Mitzrayim, and he gave birth in Mitzrayim. Asher Yoldelo Osnas. Osnas, he married Osnas, which says here, Bas Potiphera, the daughter of Potiphera. Potiphera is a guy and a Goyish mother. Why? How can you marry a Goyish woman? They adopted her. She's really the daughter of Dinah. Dinah was abused by this man. Either the first child was through Shimon, Shaul ben Cananis, or it was through Shechem, maybe Shaul ben Cananis, or maybe it was Dinah, or maybe Dinah was Shaul's daughter. But there's a whole problem who is Osnas. So Osnas is not mentioned in the, because she's not born from Yaakov, or maybe she is Yaakov's granddaughter. So she's not married, she's not mentioned, it's because the Potiphar adopted her. And she's really a daughter of Dinah, which means when Dinah says, I'm not coming out of this until Shimon marries me. So Shimon married her, and according to one opinion, they had a child, Osnas, and the father says, "Listen, you're not Jewish. Your father's a goy, and you're going before Mount Torah. You go according to the fathers." So Yaakov wrote for his granddaughter Dinah, Osnas, a kameya, and sent her on her way. This will protect you. Nobody will hurt you. They went to Mitzrayim, and eventually, Yosef married his niece, Dinah's daughter, Osnas. Which means when Leah was supposed to have the next child, this seventh child, she prayed that it would be a female, and it was Dinah. But if she would have had a male, that means to say that, well, it will be 7. And the other 2 handmaids each had 2 each. 7 and 4 is 11. Which means Rachel would have only 1 boy, which is less than the 2 handmaidens. So Leah prayed to God that if it's a male, change it to a female. And she changed it. That's why it's called Dino, Din. Dali Yud Nun. Hey, she has Din Torah with Hashem, and Hashem switched it. How can you switch a fetus? Before 40 days, you can do that. Torah tells you. The Hashem will change it. And it came out a male. A female, a Dinah. So Leah wouldn't have the 7th boy, because then there will be 2 left for Rachel, Yosef and Binyamin. But that child that was Dinah was really, the neshama was Yosef from the beginning, and it switched to Dinah. And then Dinah's daughter was Osnas, so Yosef married his soul mate, his other half. Yosef was that neshama of Leah. Was supposed to be Yosef, but she prayed, so he turned it to Dinah. Din Torah with Hashem. But there's some connection with Yosef and Dinah. So Yosef married his sister's daughter, his niece. They adopted her in Mitzrayim. It's not their daughter. Yosef married his other half of his neshama, which is Osnas. And they gave her a name Osnas. Nas in English is Neth, N-E-T-H. That's one of the 3 gods of Egypt. Neth and Ra and On. That's why he was a Kohen. On, the guy who owned him, Potiphar, he worshipped On, and Yos and Osnas Us means the answer, Neth, the God, it's one of their gods. And Ra, Pharaoh said to Moshe years later, Ra, Keneged B'nechem, Ra is going to get you. And when Yosef's name was changed to Sof Nas Paneach, you reveal the hidden things. Sof Nas is also an Neth, Neth, one of the gods of Egypt. Sof Nas, Osnath. Interesting. Okay, anyhow. So, Yosef's Rhyme, Osnas, he had two sons from Osnas, Bas Potiphera, Cohen, On, the priest of On, as Mishnaim and Menashe and Ephraim. All over the whole Torah is called Ephraim and Menashe, but here it's called Menashe and Ephraim, because Menashe was really the oldest. But Ephraim was a bigger Talmud Chacham, so he's always mentioned first. When we bench our children Friday night, don't we say Simchlim Ephraim Menashe? Ephraim is not. Why you mention him first? He's not the firstborn. He's the bigger son, the bigger Talmud Chacham. Simchlim Ephraim Menashe, but here Menashe was born first. Menashe was such a tzaddik, he let himself go second. Tremendous tzaddik. He said, Min HaShemayim, that his brother Ephraim turned out the bigger Talmud Chacham. He was the one that served Yaakov all the time, learned with Yaakov. So when you bench your kids Friday night, we say, Simchlim Ephraim Menashe. And when Yaakov benched Yosef, what's coming up soon, next week, he says, B'chol Yivarech Yisrael, when he put his hands on those two boys like this, on you, God should bless all the Jewish children. So he put his hands like this, and the right hand went on the younger child over here, which is Ephraim. And the other one, the left hand went on the other child here. It says, B'chol Yivarech Yisrael, and you, two children here, that every Jew should bless the children. Why didn't he say Bochem in both of you? Because since Menashe, who was the oldest, had the left hand on him, and he said, Yisimcha Ephraim Menashe, not Menashe and Ephraim. He said, B'chol, and you, Menashe, who didn't protest, putting second because it's coming Min HaShemayim. Yaakov does what Hashem tells him. You are the ideal Jew, the one that looks overlooked and accepts the Gezerah Min HaShemayim. You're the ideal Jew, even though he put his right hand on Ephraim, but the left hand was above the right hand. He didn't say B'chem Yivarech Yisrael, B'chem, you Jew, you Menashe, who accepts second level status. That's the ideal Jew, who accepts a Gezerah Min HaShemayim. We don't understand why, but you accept it. That's the ideal Jew. This is the ideal Jew, who's overlooked, but there's a reason. That's why he didn't say B'chem, he said B'chol. Yeah, I know I have to brag, Ephraim is going to be the bigger Talmud Chacham. You know all that. But you are the ideal Jew. Talmud Chacham, wonderful, doesn't make you less than your brother. Just because you're a bigger Talmud Chacham, Ephraim doesn't make you less than old, because he's accepting his second level status, because Hashem wants it like that, because his father is a Navi and says like that. When you in life have a certain thing comes out a certain way, and you try your effort and things don't work, accept it. That's Min HaShemayim. You should every day try to improve it, but maybe it won't change. Except if you do everything right, and you Al Pi Halacha, you live according to Halacha, accept what you have. God wants it like that. Yes.
Did Yaakov know this through Ruach HaKodesh?
100%. Yaakov was a Navi, one of our others. He knew this for Ruach HaKodesh. He had to do what Hashem told him. He had to switch his beds. Instead of going to Leah's, he went to Bilhah. That's Min HaShemayim. And Reuven interfered with that. He got cursed. Yaakov didn't do it on his own because he loves Bilhah better. Hashem told him what to do. But Reuven had to stick up for the covenant of his mother, Leah. But Rachel's dead. Don't you think he should move the bed into Leah's and ride to Rachel's handmaid? Why Bilhah? That's not your business to interfere with your father's private life. Therefore, he was a triple loser, Reuven. Lost the Bechorah. Not double portion from his estate, but double portion in Eretz Yisrael. Bechorah. He lost the Bechorah. Double portion in Eretz Yisrael. Kahuna and Malchus. He's supposed to have all three. The Bechorah. The Malchus, Kahuna went to the fourth son, Levi. The Malchus went to the third son, Yehuda. No, the fourth son, Yehuda is the fourth. The Kahuna went to the third son, Reuben, Shimon, Levi. And the Bechorah, double portion in Eretz Yisrael, went to the 11th son, Yosef. Because he protested. He messed up that bed there, made believe something was laying on it. The father understood the implication. And he said at the end of his life, Reuven, Bechori Ato, but you're a little too fast. You're too fast on the draw. I don't do anything on my own. The Shekhinah told me to do this. And he spent the rest of his life doing tshuva. That's why he wasn't at the sale of Yosef. He was doing tshuva. There were 10 of the 12 were at the sale. Binyamin, the littlest, was home taking care of the father. And Reuven, the Bechor, was doing tshuva. He spent the rest of his life doing tshuva. And 10 of them sold Yosef. Comes out, Reuven, Binyamin, and Yosef, and 10 is 3, is 13. They got to, when Reuven came back, he says, don't kill him, put him in a hole. And Yehuda says, take him out and sell him. So he came back, Reuven. At that moment, when he was doing tshuva first, he spent his whole life doing tshuva. He came back, he says, well, where's the boy? Well, we decided to sell him, which means you're responsible too, because you told him to put him in a hole. You should have taken him home when you shot on your shoulders and told the father, I stopped. Maybe Yosef did something bad, but we're not to decide. You're the Bezdin. You decide what to do with him. It's his fault too. So 10 of them sold their brother. And Binyamin was home taking care of the father. It's 11, and Yosef is number 12. So, let's go over here. Then it says, the B'nai God and the children of God, Chushim. Only one child. So why do you say B'nai? And why do you call the person Chushim, plural? It says that the Chushim had one son, but maybe had daughters. And the daughters had tremendous amount of boys. And eventually, the Don became tremendously big tribe from this one person. You know something? My father once mentioned this. If the 12 tribes came down with all their sons and grandsons, everything, it really shouldn't be 70. It got to be at least 82. Each one had a wife, no? And they married their half-sister. So they came from Yaakov's loins, his own product. Should be minimum 82. Rashi says they all died before they came into Mitzrayim. Every one of the 12 tribes were almans, widowers. Either their half-sister, it was, or they married Canaanios, because before Matan Torah, there was no Isser to marry Canaanios. For the Avos, yes, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, not for the 12 Shvatim. They could marry Canaanios, one of the opinions. They married Canaanios, when they converted them to monotheism, not paganism, they married them. Some say it was a half-sister. Whatever they were, they died. Because there was only 70 of them, not the 12, with 12 wives. By the way, you want to know how many all together there were? I'll tell you how many there were. Actually, it was mentioned in this list. If you go through it, there was children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. The list goes like this. 12 sons. Go through the list. 54 grandsons. That's in the list here. And 4 great-grandsons. So 12 and 54 is 66, and 4 great-grandsons is 70. The Rosh says, if you go through the numbers here, the Torah says 70, but it's really 69. He says, don't worry about it. 69 is fine. That means 70. 4 doesn't mean 5, and 6 doesn't mean 7. What do you mean 69 means 70? The Rosh says this is a round figure. Just like in a Bezdin, you say you have 71 people in a Bezdin. 70 in a Bezdin is really 71, so it shouldn't be a tie. The Gemara says you can have 2 people in a Bezdin, but you can't have a tie, so you put in 1 more, 3, for civil dinei mominus. And you can have 22 people in a Bezdin to paskin on a man's life, dinei nefashos, but 22 is the even number, you put in 1, 23. And 70 is enough for a Sanhedrin, but you put in 1, so it shouldn't be even. Same thing here, he says. When you say in Sfira, if you say before the Sfira, Tisru Chamishim Yom, it says in the Torah 50 days, but you only count 49. Malchus, the Torah says, Arboyim Yakeno, beat him 40, but you only hit him 39. Then he said, the Meraglim came back from the tour of the Oris, the 12 spies, after 40 days, but if you figure it out, that's really 39. It says the man they ate for 40 years. Not true. They didn't eat it for the first 30 days, because the little crackers, the crumbs of the matzah they made in Mitzrayim, they survived on that for 30 days. And when Moshe died, they had 30 days where there's no man, because of Moshe's chus, the man came down, he died and stopped. So it was 30 days at the beginning and 33 days at then. 63 days out of 40 years they didn't have him on. They only had him for 39 years and 10 months, not 12. So it says 40 years. That's a round figure. So the Rosh says 79 or 60, 69, 70 means the same thing. Mm-hmm. V'nei Yosef asher yulad lo b'Mitzrayim nefesh shnayim chol hanefesh, all the souls asher Yaakov habo that is coming shivim are 70. And they say, okay, according to the Rush, it's 69 means 70. Others hold no. It's Yocheved is included. Some say no, she was really not born before they came to Mitzrayim. She was born a minute after. So they include Yaakov. But then it says no Yaakov, it says 70 with Yaakov. So they include the Kodesh Baruch Hu number for 70. It's a problem how to get to 70. So you say, Kodesh Baruch Hu? He says, yeah, didn't Avram say in the towns of Sodom, if you find 10 tzaddikim in the 5 towns, 50 people altogether, would you save? He said, yeah. Hashem said, if you find 50, which means there's not 50, suppose you find 45, which means 9 people in 5 towns is 45. And you, Hashem, will be the 10th. He says, okay, if you find 9, I'll be the 10th. So that means 10, 5 towns, 45 people plus Hashem, plus 5 times, Hashem 5 times. And so you see Hashem can be included. And when the brothers sold Yosef, they swore that by a cherem, no one should ever tell the father the truth. They put Hashem in the cherem. He should not also tell. So Yaakov didn't know all those 22 years that Yosef was really living. That he was a king the last 9 years. Because Hashem didn't break the cherem. Why was that? How can they do this? You're talking about the 11 Shiftei Yisrael, the biggest tzaddikim in the world. They can put Hashem in the cherem. For whatever reasons, the whole discussion about this. So you say here too, 69 plus Hashem. Look at the Midrash, you will see it's very deep stuff. That's Yehuda Sholach Lefonov, and Yehuda he sent ahead to clean up the whole Eretz Mitzrayim was a place filthy, immoral, shtufei zimo and avodah zarah. If Yaakov is going to live in some house that Yosef gives him, be sure there's no avodah zarah, no statues around there in the house. So Yehuda was supposed to go down there, says Rashi, to set up a Beis HaTalmud, a yeshiva, a room, a house where they can learn Torah with no idols. That's Yehuda Sholach Lefonov El Yosef to Yosef, Lehoros to teach, to set up a place of teaching. Lefon Goshna, to Goshen. Le Goshen means Goshna. Mitzrayim or Le Mitzrayim. Goshna is the same letters as Neis Gadol Hayo Shom. So, this always comes around Hanukkah, right after Hanukkah. Don't we have on the Gravel, Neis Gadol Hayo Shom in Persia? There was in Chanukah, not in Persia, that was Purim. In Eretz Yisrael, under the Greeks, Neis Gadol HaYisham. And in Mitzrayim, there's going to be a big Neis too, at the Yetzias Mitzrayim. In the end of 210 years, millions of people will walk out one night, 15th of Nisan, in the year 2448. No one is going to stop them. No one is going to stop them. A Neis Gadol HaYisham. Goshna. Neis Gadol HaYisham. And on the Drave have the same thing. And that is what happened in Eretz Yisrael in the middle of the second Bayis Matisyohu with the Chashmonaim. And do you know that there's going to be a Neis when Mashiach comes? Do you know Neis Gadol HaYasham is 358 and Goshna is 358 and Mashiach is 358? What do you do with that gigantic little secret? The yes of Yosef Markavto, Yosef tied up his wagon, the horses to the wagon. He himself, he's the Pharaoh, he's the assistant Pharaoh. He wants to do it for the covet of his father. He tied up the horses with the ropes, he tied them to the wagon. The yes of Yosef Markavto, his Markav. Vayal, he went up Likras Yisrael, to his father Yisrael. Vayal. To Yosef was like Jews later in centuries went up to Olas Regel, Aliyas HaRegel, going to Yerushalayim. That was in Yosef's mind to meet his father. This was like Aliyas HaRegel when Jews went up to Yerushalayim 3 times a year. So he went up to Likras Yisrael Ovid by Goshna to Goshen. That's the first town where the Yaakov was coming in. That's the Nile Delta, the Egyptian country, Nile Delta. Vayera Elav, and he appeared to him. Who appeared to who? Yaakov to Yosef? Yosef to Yaakov? Doesn't say. The Yipal Atzavar fell on his neck. Who? Fell on whose neck? Both? Fell on each other or one? Vayevki cried. Al Savarov on his neck owed a very long time. Who? The father or the son? According to Rashi, Yosef fell on the father's neck, and Yaakov did not fall on his neck at all. No. What's wrong? After 22 years, you have no emotions. No, it says that Yaakov was saying Kriya Shema. When you say Kriya Shema, you cannot divert your attention. Boy's side. You can't say Kriya Shema 5 minutes before. You know you're coming down to and the whole crowd is waiting for you over there. You're not going to say 5 minutes before, or 10 minutes later. It says in Kriya Shema, Kabbalah Sol Malchus Shemayim V'Haftzis Hashem L'Kecha B'Chol L'Vav B'Chol Nafshecha B'Chol Medecha. Nafshecha, even if it takes your life away, you give your life for the Torah. And this was his highest moment of pleasure. He said to God, you can take me now, because I see my son, that's good enough for me. He was involved in a mitzvah. When you're involved in a mitzvah, put him in a mitzvah. He doesn't have, he can't, in fact, no, I'm sorry. He's involved in Kriya Shema, and he can't divert his attention. Why didn't Yosef say Kriya Shema? It's also the highest moment of his life's enjoyment. After the Shem L'Kabachol Navshecha, with your highest moment of pleasure, you dedicate to Hashem, because Yosef is involved in a mitzvah, Kibbut Av, and once you're involved in a mitzvah, you're not equipped to do Kriya Shema. But Yaakov is not involved in the mitzvah of Kibbut Av. It's Kibbut Ben, there's no such mitzvah in the Torah. Therefore, you can say Kriya Shema. So now we have this question, since Yaakov didn't fall on his neck because he's in the middle of Kriya Shema, the highest point, that's the last thing you say before you go out of this world. And it's the first thing you teach a kid of 4 years old. So this is the highest thing you can say in your lifetime. You say it every day, 3 times. Chakras, and then Marav, and then before you go to bed. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, that's the creed we have. So when you're involved in this moment of ecstasy, Yosef, you're patur in Kriya Shema, because you're involved in Kibbut Av. That's more important. Because that you can say 3 hours from now, but this Kibbut Av is this moment. But Yaakov, who did not have a mitzvah of Kibbut Ben, there was no such mitzvah, he was saying that. He didn't fall on Yosef's neck. Yosef fell on his neck. That's Rashi's opinion. The Ramban says, no way. Yosef Yaakov fell on Yosef's neck. And he bowed down to him. Because he had to fulfill the dream 22 years ago where the sun and the moon and the stars bowed down to him. He had a Mekayim, the Nevuah, because Yosef is a legitimate Rabbi. So he bent down and bowed down to Yosef. And he kissed Yosef. And Yosef felt he has no right to touch his father and kiss him. Yaakov is the greatest, holiest man in the world. So it says the Ramban, maybe he curtsied a little bit, should have kissed the back of his hand. He wouldn't dare touch his father's neck. His father's too holy. And according to Ramban, Yaakov fell on Yosef's neck because he's a melech. He has to become a melech. Then Yosef cried eventually on Yaakov's neck because his father had lowered his self-cover by bowing down to his son. And he knew that would minimize his life. It did take years off of Yaakov's life. Because he's supposed to live to 180, he lived to 147, 33 years off. Some say it's because of the 33 words that he said to Pharaoh, I had a miserable life. But others hold no. He has no right to lower his cover. That's why Yosef cried. Oh, my father was bowing down to me. He has no right to do this. He's only me. I have to mechabed the father. There is no mitzvah to mechabed your son. So Yosef was crying that our father is maybe going to be punished for this. He bowed down to his son. Yaakov wanted to fulfill the Nevuah. It says the son will bow down. Bachlok between Rashi and Targum Yonason and Rambam. So the reason that's one opinion, that he didn't live as much as his father. Yitzchak lived 180. All the others were supposed to live 180. Avram lived 180 minus 5 because he didn't want to see his grandson Esau turn out rotten, because he was 15 when Avram died at 175. If he would have lived to 180, 10 times high, then he would see that Esau was a Russia, because you're not Chaim and Odom Lamachim until you're 20. And when Avram died, Yaakov and Esau were 15. And then he was going on a bad way, starting to kill and rape and murder. So Hashem did a chesed to Avram, took him away 5 years before 180. Yitzchak lived 180. Yaakov was supposed to live 180, but he lived 147. 33 years less. Why? Some say because of this. The more popular reason is, Pharaoh said, "Ooh, how old are you?" You don't ask an old man how old you are. That's insulting. But Yaakov's face was so tortured by this terrible life he had lived. 63 years with a rotten brother. Then he worked for a crooked uncle. Then at the end, Yosef, after when he was got away from Laban chased him, wanted to kill him and all his four daughters and all his children. And then Esau attacks him with 400 soldiers. And then Dinah is abused. And Shimon Levi wiped out the town, aggravated Yaakov. And then Yosef is sold. And then Shimon is captured, taken, held in Mitzrayim. And then Dinah, he had a lot of sorrows. When Yaakov went down to Mitzrayim, Hashem spoke to him the first time in 22 years. Vayomer Hashem El Yisrael. And on top of Yisrael is 7 Tagim. And Yisrael, the shin of Yisrael is 3. 3 times 7 is 21. And with the concept is 22. 22 years he had no nevuah, because God doesn't come to you when you're unhappy. Only when you're happy. Now he's coming to see Yosef, he's very happy. 20 shin, 3 times 7 Tagim is 21. And plus the idea, it's called Shem HaKolel. 22 years there was no happiness in Yaakov's life. Now he's Ruach HaKodesh came back to nevuah. So he had such a miserable life. He came into Pharaoh, Yosef introduced the old 130-year-old man to Pharaoh. So Pharaoh looks at him and says, "How old are you?" Yova Yosef es Yaakov Aviv Vayamideyu. He stood him up lefnei Paro. Vayivorech Yaakov es Vayivorech Yaakov is Pharaoh. He blessed him. He said, "How are you? Shalom Aleichem." Vayomer Paro. Here comes 8 words and 25 words answer. 8 and 25 is 33. Vayomer Paro El Yaakov Kamu Yemei Shnei Chayecha. How many are the days of the years of your life? How many good years did you have, mister? He looked very old. It says that Pharaoh thought that he was Avraham. Now, Avraham had died 115 years ago, before this. That would, and Yaakov's 130, that would make him 245. He looked very old. And he asked him, "How old are you, mister?" That's what you ask an old man. That's very embarrassing. But it was so, his face was so wrought with pain, he prompted the question. So Yaakov answers 25 words. Vayomer Yaakov El Pharaoh Yemei, the days, the good days, Shnei of the years of my life, of my Magurai, my wandering in this world. Shloshim Ma'ashona, it's 130 years. Mad, very few. Varoim, very bad. Hoyu Yemei Shnei Chaya were the good years of the days of my life. But Lohisigo, they didn't reach as Yemei Shnei Chaya Avosai, the amount of the days of the lives of my forefathers. When they were in this world, Vayivorech Yaakov as Pharaoh, and he blessed him. Vayetzim him flay Pharaoh, and he left Pharaoh. What did he bless him? Says Rashi, the Nile. Next time you go outside, the Nile should come up to your feet. Means the hunger is over. And Pharaoh knew the next day when he went out, studied by the Nile, it flowed up. It's not because he was had any powers, only because that holy man blessed him the day before, and the hunger was over as soon as Yaakov came to Mitzrayim, and the Nile saw overflowing and filling up all those ditches that are connected to the Nile. The Nile was a vertical river going down through to Egypt, and the ditches were like this, Yoros, and the whole land was irrigated because of the Nile overflowing every 14 days, every week, I don't know when. And that was, Pharaoh knew it's not because of his magical powers, because of the holy man. But it says here that why is Yaakov blamed 33 when he only answered 25 words? The Yomer Pharaoh El Yaakov Kami Meishanechayecho. That's the question. The answer is 25 words. The Yomer Yaakov El Paro Yemei Shnei Magurai Shloshim Ma'at Shona Ma'at Baroim Hoyuch Yemei Shnei Chayai Lo Hisigu. They didn't reach the days of my forefathers. 25. So 25 years should be taken off. Why? 8 years because of the question. From here you learn a gigantic little secret of life. If you have a miserable life, keep it to yourself. Your face is public property. On your face you show such misery that it's a type of Hashem. Look at the life I have. So Pharaoh says, "How old are you anyhow, mister?" That 8 words, Yaakov was blamed for that. 25 and 8 is 33. 33 years were taken off of 180. That's why he lived 147, not 180. Your face is public property. If you have terrible life, keep it to yourself. Don't share it with other people. God wants you to have it. Like someone told me, I had Yahrzeit Shabbos right today, and there's a minhag to daven for the Amid. We have a minhag that you don't daven for the Amid on Yahrzeit or during the Avedus year on Shabbos or Yom Tov or Erev Shabbos or Erev Yom Tov or even on Rosh Chodesh or even on Chanukah, even on Purim. Only during the week. So I didn't daven. That's one reason. Number two, it's Shabbos. Maybe you shouldn't. A novel shouldn't daven. First of all, I'm not a novel. I'm only Yahrzeit. And my father he didn't hold that davening for the Amid is anything. It doesn't say that in anywhere of the halachas that a Yahrzeit has to daven for the Amid. He has to say Kaddish. That's true. But davening, it's been made up in the last 100 years. It's not in halacha anywhere that an oval or maybe an oval. A Yahrzeit does not have to daven for the Amid. Only say Kaddish carefully and slowly. And not 10 times in a row. My father used to say once at night in Ma'ariv, once, word for word, slowly, once in the morning and once at Mincha. That's all I want. And he himself, when his father died, he didn't daven for the Yom. Maybe in the morning he went for Ashrei Volosian at the end. But there's no mitzvah to daven for the Yom. There's a mitzvah to say Kaddish and a mitzvah to learn Mishnayos, Mishnah and Shema, and to fast if you're an Ashkenazi. And to make a tikkun or a kiddush, that's for other people. You don't eat. You're fasting on a fast day. Shabbos you can't fast. So someone once said that Yisrael Salanter didn't have a good voice. And they said you should daven for the Amid. A couple hundred years ago. So there's a cynical joke. I think they say in the name of Yisrael Salanter, they said if you don't have a good voice, you daven for the Amid. Your God made you an Ovel. He didn't make you a Chazan. Which means you may have a horrible voice. Why should you daven for the Amid? They have to hear that sandpaper voice you have. You are an Ovel. No one made you a Chazan. And if you look at Halacha and the Shara Ephraim that talks about all these dinim, you don't find that a Yahrzeit has a daven for the Amid. Maybe an Ovel. I don't think so. Even an Ovel. It's only Kaddish. You don't have to daven for the Amid. It's only saying Kaddish and learn Mishnayos and fast. Your father made you an Ovel. He didn't make you a Chazan. Because you have Yahrzeit, we have to suffer from that voice. Maybe you're not a Chazan. Maybe you don't know the Nusach. Maybe you can't pronounce the words right. Maybe you don't have a good voice. Anyhow, Rabbi Isai, we have come to the end of our little shir together. We hope next week we'll see you again in Parshas Vayigash, which is the end of Sefer Bereshis. And have a good week, and sei gesund and stark, and have an easy fast next Friday, which is the shortest fast day of the whole year. And remember, Friday afternoon tomorrow, next week, is Kriyas Torah and Haftorah before Shabbos. Sei gesund.